Hello and welcome to another reaction video. This week we're reacting to Bricky's review on Blood and Teef. I'm actually really excited for this one because I love the orcs and I'm interested to see what this game is like. So thank you for joining us and I hope you enjoy.
Okay, all right, I'm done with that now. Let's go into the orcs. Hello everybody, my name is Bricky, currently leading the Brick-Taker Get Crumpa Wah across the solar system. Shootas, Blood and Teef is objectively the best name for an orc video game on the market right now. It also won my heart with this hilarious trailer and demo that came out earlier this year. It's a Warhammer game, and since I am John Warhammer, I might as well give it a shot, you know? A warning, there are spoilers in this video, but it's nothing that you should really concern yourself with. But if you want to go in super blind, I get it, but don't worry too much.
I'm sure we'll be okay.
Going through the game very similar to my Uncharted video, so you have been warned. Loading up the game, I got the chance to set up my orc in a variety of colors based on orc clans and appearances.
Oh nice, they got all the clans.
Orc units, the Storm Boys, Weird Boys, Goths, Evil Sons, Bad Moons, so on and so forth. Then we get to the opening explaining the story of the game, and well, it sure is the story about orcs.
Oh, I love the little drawn art style.
Luteus. Stupid name, stupid Unis. The Unis been drilling for the gold juice here for ages, pumping it out, sticking it in their battle wagons to make them go through. Now we want it for our wagons. Make them go through instead.
As you can see, this game knows what it's trying to be. That's your overall story, but it's not the real story.
Oh, I love the art style.
Want to crump and get resources, but to make it a real
it fits so
story,
well.
It's gotta be personal.
That hair squid is snazzy.
Oh, please tell me the entire storyline is over a hair squig. No.
What are you doing? I's the boss, so I get the snazziest things. You, I'm having this.
He stole his hair. That is the most petty but most orky thing ever.
Gaz, an orc boy, and your damn boss Gut Ripper just stole your hair squig.
Bastard.
With Warhammer, orcs don't have hair. They have animals called squigs that serve a variety of functions, and one of those functions is hair. Listen, dude, there is a canon story in Warhammer about an orc that goes back in time to kill himself so that he can have 2 copies of his favorite gun. Okay, like, don't worry about it. So the main
we gotta learn more about that one.
To the boss and get your hair back. I'm also a little disappointed I didn't have a Keep sponsorship for this video. The point is that when the orcs are on screen, this is a proper orc game. The cutscenes are a highlight and they are consistently excellent. So the gameplay of Shootas, Blood and Teef is a lot like your Metal Slug and Castle Crasher style.
I love Castle Crashers back in the day.
All of them with ammo capacities, but with overall like unlimited ammo. You start with a simple arsenal of orc boy weapons. We're talking a shooter, a slugger, and a big old melee weapon. But over time, you'll gather 5 different ranged weapons, including, and you better spell this correctly, the rocket launcher, the boomstick, the burner, and more. This also is accompanied by your dedicated wah button, which represents the green beneath your health bar.
Is he fighting during a rock concert?
You become invulnerable and fire whatever weapons you are holding at an extremely rapid speed. Other than that, you have a dash, a double jump, a crouch, and that's about it. Gameplay is simple because combat is simple because orcs are simple. Don't overcomplicate this with all those human
What else do you need?
Use an orc. You fight like one. Starting off, you tend to fight either other orcs, naturally, or the Imperium of Man, mainly guardsmen. The guardsmen are also played like an orc would see them. Basically, as a bunch of doofus nerds. Throughout the gameplay, you will also gather teeth. Lots and lots of teeth. Teeth are, of course, currency for orcs. I don't know why I say of course, as if this is common knowledge. Yeah, teeth are teeth.
I mean, why wouldn't they be?
Is currency. You can use this Teef to purchase new weapons from the mech boy at his shop located at every single checkpoint. Each gun slot has 3 new weapons you can buy. This can be a looted human plasma pistol, giant laser beams, looted bolters, a giant saw as a gun, and more. And don't forget, if you shoot the plasma pistol too much, it overheats and damages you. Nobody can forget the exploding plasma pistol. So you make your way through the Imperium, killing everything here and killing everything there, dealing with the occasional kill 'em all section, and find your way to, of course, the most important part of any game, the orc band. Hit it! Since in
That is
Orc
an
Law,
amazing
now that
soundtrack.
you've killed the boss, you are now the boss, and you get to lead your own army of orcs to get back at Gutrekka for once again stealing your hair squig. This leads you to fighting more of the Imperium and increasing the enemy variety in a great way. You have company commanders, commissars, rattling snipers, Ogren, a fucking Lehman Russ Punisher
Jesus
tank, and you
Christ.
blast your way through all of them. A note, I really like the background memes here. Purge the unclean for washing your hands. Sisters in arms. There's a lot of good little Easter eggs scattered about.
Nice.
But Easter eggs be gone. It's time for our first major boss. And the realization that even though this is an orc game, I should not expect canon to even come close to this title.
Oh God.
So you, a single orc boy, are about to take on a Bane Blade. 11 barrels of hell, which they don't fire at the same time because, you know, video
Yeah,
game. But
you
that's when I
gotta keep
realized,
even.
yeah, okay, this is going to be shenanigans. It's a pretty neat fight. The Bane Blade uses a lot of its weapons and they all have different effects. Even more so when you blow off its turret and it tries to ram you with a very classic, get me closer, I want to hit them with my
Is that
sword.
Commissar
There is
Yarrick
one
on the
thing
top?
that has me annoyed though, and it isn't the biggest deal, but it really bugs me in this game. Right when you finish a level or kill a boss fight, there is no ending delay. Like, just to let the music fade out or give some time to relax. Instead, the screen goes instant to loading screen and then instant out of loading screen.
Oh, that's a
either
bit jarring.
cutscene or gameplay again. It's really jarring and it kills the pacing massively. I know it's a random thing, but let me just show you.
They should at least put some Orky lore pages in between loading screens, even if they're like just some humorous meme style stuff. Oh yeah, that is a bit
You
weird.
see what I mean, right? The pacing is so off, and it does this all the time. It needs a little bit of a cooldown, or at least not double up the transitions, going from gameplay to loading screen, then gameplay or cutscene. Just
Is that a
kinda
Gene
jarring.
Stealer
It's
cult?
a nitpick. It's like a major nitpick.
That's
but
amazing.
it's noticeable. So you move on to the next area, and the environment has most certainly changed a little bit, as have the enemies. Looks like Lutius has already had a major problem on their hands to start with. The entire next area is mostly Gene Stealer cults and all of the crazy
Nice.
paraphernalia that comes with them. The enemy variety is enhanced too. There are your classic neophytes and then just infected guardsmen, but you'll find hybrids that have their third arm throwing demo charges, or you'll have a Sanctus that's this really fast stabby type. And of course, there's got to be an aberrant in there somewhere. Bosses include your
the art
classic
style,
Gene
it's
Stealer,
just
you know,
insane.
the titular,
It's
a
so good.
Biophagus, which was a pretty fun one.
We need more stuff like this.
But of course, as we all know with Gene Stealer cults, there's
I would pay
always
good money for a
patriarch,
Castle
and it is
Crashers
responded
Black
to
Templar
exactly
game.
how you would expect.
Trespass in the tabernacle of the Earth Emperor. Prepare to die.
The patriarch fight is probably the best fight in the
Just
game.
laughs
It's
it
still
off.
very simple as all the gameplay here is, but I enjoy it a lot for a multitude of reasons. Firstly, I like the background design. You can see the
Yeah, they're
effigies
wicked.
hanging from the ceiling and all the candles.
I
and the
love
statue
the
in
humor
back. It's
in
very
this
neat.
as well.
Secondly, the patriarch moves quite quickly and fires these little homing psychic missiles at you. So you're playing both run away from the big stabby monster and also run away from the homing attacks at once. And
Like a
lastly,
bullet
the
hell.
patriarch will scurry away and let its conclave deal with you for a bit, which I think breaks up the action and makes it actually really fun. Now, it's not my favorite boss in the game, but it's one that I think should be looked at more if this game ever receives updates or DLC. You run away, you fight 2 Gene Stealers, and well, the next bit has you fighting a
that's
combination
an
of the
exit.
cult and the Imperium. More enemies are added, like the Bulgrin with their gauntlets and big old slab shields. And hey, you even get to fight a full-on sentinel, which is shocking to me since this is later in the game. It's a later boss fight, and you've already taken out a motherfucking Bane.
I was going to say, that's completely
because
backwards.
Right after this, you're dealing with something scarier than a Sentinel.
It just makes it more orky.
Far. The Space Marines are here. White Scars in particular. Good
Oh,
choice,
nice.
I say. A fast orc game might as well have the fast Marines to go along with it. Honestly, the Space Marines, though, they're not that tough. They're tougher than some of the singular enemies in the game. You're just so incredibly busted as a singular orc, they aren't that frightening. Now, if they populated the game and there were a ton of Space Marines, okay.
Oh, at least gotta have some token
they'll throw
chapter in there.
a couple of them at you, and they aren't really that much of a challenge. Which is too bad, because
It's nice to see the White Scars getting some love, though.
You did kill a Bane Blade, though. Though they do find a middle ground, because you're now fighting Tempestus Scions that actually are quite a threat in numbers. They're tankier, hit harder, and can sometimes carry plasma guns. And turns out I was wrong. The Khan is back, and you get to take down a White Scars chaplain and his squad, which I have to say, just looking at the chaplain walking around with his little Crozius all stubby-like and trying to whack you with it, it's pretty adorable. It's very silly. I like it a lot. Combat
It's surprisingly
in the war
cute.
room is strictly prohibited. Commissar Strangelove.
Gentlemen, you can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Turns out, just like the tabletop, the Invictor Tactical War Suit dies to a swift breeze. That's too bad. But honestly, this is all filler. This is all prep work. This is all just a gathering of strength, like a gathering of power, a gathering of will for the true fight, the real climax of this game. It's time for the #1 reason to even buy this game.
Oh, Jesus Christ. That's a titan.
Attention, Orc! You face Lord Horik Canorum, son of High King Valeric Canorum, High Prince of House Canorum, Master of the Blade of Gaia.
That's totally in character, though.
Wielder of the caloric flame, bringer of hope, herald of the holy order of the adamantine lance, the paladin of Koto, slayer of the lion of Essa, the triumphant, the light of stars, the eradicator. You what?
You what? You what, mate?
Lord Horik
That's the
Canorum,
best response
son
ever.
of High King of Valeric Canorum, High Prince, etc., is one of the most batshit ideas I've thought of for an orc game, or I've seen for an orc game. Someone thought of for this orc game. Having a single orc take down a Knight Valiant, which by the way, good choice, that's my favorite knight, whose flamethrower, the conflagration cannon, can melt a Lehman Rust tank to sludge, is so absolutely ridiculous that it's only offset by that absolutely bopping soundtrack. Rip that shit.
That slaps. I really hope they have a downloadable soundtrack for that.
Fight in the game, but it is the most hype. There are two main issues with it. The first is that even though it took me far too long than I like to admit to figure this part out, all you gotta do is hide behind the boxes when he attacks you. That is really the entire fight, more or less. Block the melta-gun, dodge the flamer, dodge the harpoon. The missiles are really the only thing you need to think about, because they home in on you. The second main issue is, come on, why didn't you put the entire subtitle on the health bar? Like, literally, if you put it
That's
over the
such a
health
wasted
bar and you even
opportunity.
obscured
Yeah,
the health
like
bar
that.
with just lines of text, I wouldn't have minded it at all. It sucks that it's just Lord Horik. It should absolutely be the whole thing. Stick to your guns, maintain the meme, and hey,
Or just trails
I'm
off
just
off
saying,
screen.
when you kill him, he like explodes a little bit before they go jarringly into loading screen again, but he could still be in there. If you're gonna make DLC, bring him back, and then like do the whole thing. Come on. This is my favorite boss fight though, just because it's so ridiculous and it's still fun, even if the actual gameplay loop is a bit generic overall. Still, it's just not often you get to watch an orc bash down a Knight Valiant of all things. But I give them props for a lore accurate Knight pilot. Knights are the most proper, pristine heralds of the goodwill of mankind, and they will shout their deeds to the it's that entire monologue. Cheesy, sure. Lore accurate, a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. If we're being truly honest, the knight would have just killed him. But however, maybe it's not
just
that
obliterate
strange
the
of a
ground he's walking
thought
on.
process. I mean, have you ever read Brutal Cunning, in which 2 orcs, a grot, and a squig killed a warlord titan?
What?
One of those things.
Oh,
they showed
I
in the
gotta
Horus
totally
Heresy
read that.
trailer. That's a good book. I'd recommend. The final section of this game
endorsed.
is, of course, naturally, in an orc game against other orcs. You make your way on Gut-Wreck's ship and begin just blasting it up. You fight all manner of orcs, Killicans, and even defy the laws of physics as the spaceship is open to the vacuum of space, which you, of course, use to float because orcs. The final boss fight against Gut-Wreck,
If they believe they can breathe.
all you do is jump up and you shoot him in the face on top of his giant stompa, in which his stompa opens up and then you shoot its stomach, and you rinse and repeat that like 3 times. It's probably the weakest fight in the game, which sucks because it's the final boss of the game. I expected him to like jump out and fight me on foot or something, but no, it's just this. You defeat him though, you take your hair squig back, and you lead your own wah in his stead, and that's the game. You spend your teeth on various new hats.
Gotta get
in
the hair
store and
squig
all
back.
that, which, you know, if I learned anything from TF2, hats are the true end game. And it might surprise you that it's already over, but yeah, that's the entire campaign. I beat it on normal mode in 1 sitting, and it took me only around 2 to 3 hours. This normally wouldn't be a problem for me because it actually like a pretty good 2 to 3 hours, and minus the weird loading screens, it was paced really well. But the game is $20. There also is really nothing else to do after beating the campaign. You can play with friends.
Yeah,
I guess.
they packed out with a
Again,
little
you're still
bit more
just playing
DLC
it
or
again.
something.
Hello, this is Future Bricky. After playing the game and go through the whole thing, I decided to also throw a little bit of a gameplay thing together for a stream with It's Ridiculous. Actually compiled the video for it as well. You can check that out in the description. But let's just say the co-op experience was not as good as the single player one. It was horribly buggy. Some things are funny, like the explosive friendly fire.
I'm sure that's patched out by now.
I think maybe it's not necessarily friendly fire.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
But we encountered a ludicrously large amount of bugs, DK, Diamantes.
I jumped.
My co-host crashed about 4 or 5 times in the 2.5 hours it took us to play it. I shoved Lord Horic off the goddamn map, among many other weird things that happened. So another good disclaimer to add that, yeah, can be a bit rough in
just
the
a little bit.
multiplayer part of it, which is unfortunate because
the chaotic nature probably makes it a little bit more fun.
if that wasn't the case. Also check out Dev's Ridiculous. We do Warhammer podcast stuff. It's just extremely content light overall. It's a fun game for sure, but it's done so incredibly fast that you wonder if it really felt like it was worth the price tag for a shorter runtime than Avengers Endgame. And depending on the theater you go to, costing more than the ticket for that movie.
I mean,
it's hard to justify
if
the
you had
price tag,
fun
no matter how
and you thought you
enjoyable
got the
those
kick
2 or 3
out of it,
hours were. When
no, I
go to my
suppose it's
Steam
worth
page
it.
and see fucking Hollow Knight for $15,
Length doesn't always mean you get a good value for money.
It's unfair to compare it to Hollow Knight, an incredibly good game, but it is still a price per game thing. It's up to you. Sure, I think it's better suited as a clean $10. If it had another 1 to 2 hours of content, maybe, but right now I don't think I can.
Also, this would slap as a tablet game as well. The art style is just perfect for it.
The voice acting is hilarious and accurate to the lore. The mood is fun, the gameplay is fun, and the soundtrack is genuinely great. So it just doesn't reach a $20
we totally need a
price
sequel for
tag
this.
for 2 to 3 hours of gameplay, which is too bad because 40K games are often pretty shit. This one isn't shit. I guess it wouldn't be a Warhammer title if they didn't overcharge you. Thanks, James Workshop.
Now I have to go give Codex Zotes an army-wide 2+ invulnerable save.
Shootas,
I suppose that's
Blood, and
low
Teef.
accurate.
It's a really fun
GW
time. I liked
overpricing.
it a lot. $20 though. Not sure about that. If you're doing financially sound, you just don't care, you want to play an orc game, have at it. I've spent a hell of a lot more money on tiny little plastic figures.
That's
so
fair.
Truly, I'm not quite sure how much of a say I get in this, but I'm letting you know. Thank you all so much for watching this video, everybody. Please do give my merch store a check. Check out some
will
of the
do.
prints, posters, shirts, hoodies, everything in between. There's tons there that I would love to have you buy. Give me money. So I have multiple orc-based questions, which is good. Which is your favorite orc unit on the tabletop? That would either be the Death Dread or perhaps I like Birda Boys a lot. No, Commandos. It has to be Commandos. It has to be Commando. I love Commandos. They're so fun. If you had to join any of the orc clans, which would you pick? Blood Axes.
Ooh.
I like
Really?
Blood Axes. They're really good. What is the best orc book that you'd recommend? At the moment, I'd probably say Brutal Cunning. Yeah, Brutal Cunning's probably the best orc book I'd go
Yeah,
with.
we have to
The
track that
Gasco
one down.
book is pretty good too, but I think Brutal Cunning hits it out just a bit more. I would recommend that.
Wow, that's another great review by Bricky. He's very quickly becoming one of my favorite YouTubers ever. So yeah, thanks for joining us this week. I hope you had a great time watching it with me. Don't forget, we have a Discord channel if you want to hang out and chat. And obviously, don't forget to like and subscribe to both me and Bricky. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. And since it's nearly the holidays, have a happy Christmas and a fantastic New Year.